All right, I wanted to make another video. It's been a while. And I wanted to make a quick video about why you need to read loads of books. I'm talking a lot of books. I've read, for many years, I would read about 100 books a year. And I'm not saying that to brag about the number. I'm saying that to just try to tell you that you have to read a lot of books if you're going to be a book reader. If you're going to read books, you have to read tons of books, hundreds, probably thousands in your lifetime. And I'm not saying you have to finish every book, and I'm not saying you have to read every book thoroughly or at a certain speed. Basically, what I'm saying, probably for every 100 books that I have read, I would say maybe 10 of them were actually really good. Probably 1 out of 10 every books. One out of every 10 books I've ever read, I would say were really good. And I can think back on just a few of those. Like lately, I was in a science fiction reading kick, and so I just absorbed a bunch of science fiction books from my local library. And I would say out of all the ones that I read, the one that really kind of stuck with me afterward was Joe Haldeman's The Forever War. I had never read it. So, but I had just picked it up as grabbing 5, 6 books at a time, just ones that I knew. I had vaguely recalled seeing that before, and just taking a chance on it. So you're going to have to take chances on many books without knowing that that book's going to be worth it or not. So a point I would like to make, in addition to, okay, I'm telling you, you have to read a lot of books. If you're going to be a book reader, you have to read tons of books. So that also means you have to learn how to speed read. There's many speed reading techniques out there. Just find one that works good for you, that you can handle, that speeds up your reading at least 2 times faster than you would normally read. But most speed reading typically will speed you up more than that. And the reason for speed reading is it's not so that you speed read every single book. Some books you just can't speed read. You're not going to get anything out of them if you speed read. But other books, if you speed read them, you will get something out of them. They're okay books. They're not terrible. They're not great. But you can speed read them, and you're not damaging yourself in any way. There are books that obviously if you speed read, you damage yourself because you're not understanding them. That's a book that you're reading to learn. Like, you can't speed read a textbook. Textbooks you plod through and you suffer through them in order to learn anything. You're not speeded, but a lot of novels or even nonfictions just are meant to be kind of gone through quickly. They're not meant to be amazing pieces of literature that require reading and rereading and rereading and studying and analyzing. Like, a lot of books don't require analyzing. They don't require homework, really. And you're really not. One thing I've learned about reading books, some books, like textbooks, I read just to learn something. But most books, I'm not reading to learn things. Learning can happen along the way, but I'm really reading them for entertainment. It's no different than watching a movie or a TV show or playing a video game. I'm not doing it to progress myself in life in some way. Typically, I'm doing it to just enjoy what it is. So, because so few things are high level quality, I'm not here to tell you what is high level quality, because I think it's different for everyone. For example, I really liked the book Madame Bovary, whereas my wife didn't care for it that much. And because we were in different places in our lives when we read it, and we had different backgrounds and experiences, and we just took it differently. Another example I can give is I read 1984 when I was a teenager. I couldn't get through it. I was suffering trying to read it. I just couldn't get through it. And then in my 30s, I read it, and it's like one of my favorite books. I loved it. So sometimes that book is not for you in that moment. Like, don't force a book if you are not ready for that book. And if unless you have to do it for a class, then go ahead and force yourself. But for the most part, you shouldn't be forcing books. I mean, I was just attempting to get into a book recently called uh, "The Moral Obligation to Be Intelligent," and the title gripped me obviously because I'm so smart. But I wanted to find out, what is the moral obligation? What's the argument being made there? I ended up being disappointed and thoroughly disgusted by the introduction. I thought it was very poorly written in an academic sense. It wasn't clear. I couldn't understand it. I had to look up a lot of words, and that's unusual for me. I mean, I've read I don't know 1,300 some books. It's not typical for me to have to look up words. It's not like I'm some idiot who doesn't have much vocabulary. It really was it was like the introduction person was going out of his way to use academic difficult language, and I felt like it muddied and made opaque the whole introduction, and then I just grew to distaste it or have a distaste in my mouth regarding the book. And then I sampled a few essays because they were essays by Lionel Trilling, who's a literature critic, and I tried sampling a few of them. Before I knew it, I was thinking, well, why am I even reading essays by a literary critic? What am I really getting out of this? I've read a lot of pieces of literature myself, and some I have enjoyed, some I've not enjoyed, but I've never actually read a critic's essay about a book, like a novel, and actually, I don't know, felt like I got any value out of that. Even Nabokov's essays, where he had an essay on Madame Bovary, and I read this, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, because I liked Nabokov, some of his work, not all of his works, but some of his works, and I just didn't. I was like, are we even reading the same book? Like, I'm this is a none of this makes sense to me, or if this is very different from what I took from it. So I don't know. I put down for now that one book I began, and this is going to happen to you. You're going to go through a lot of books that just strike you in the wrong way, or the style is very off from what you enjoy as a style, and maybe the topic is not interesting to you, and they couldn't make it interesting to you. They couldn't bring to life what you were hoping to get from that book. Sometimes you pick up a book and you think you want something out of it in some way. And I'm looking at a stack of books that I bought. There was a half off. There was a 50% off sale at my local bookshop. Used books for history books, and it had been a while since I had bought any history books or read any history books. So I thought, maybe I can find some stuff interesting. I'm looking at the titles here, and just to read off a couple titles to you, just to give you a sense of why I chose books and how I'm going to approach them. So I got a couple books on um, Venice, because I was looking for history books about Italy because I'm interested in Italy right now and attempting to learn the Italian language. And I'm watching the Serie A soccer games with Italy, just kind of building my interest because I'd like to go there someday. I could only find history books on Venice. There's two of them. One's by John Julius Norwich. I've read his books before on the Byzantine Empire, and I thought they were okay. So I just wanted to just fill my head with some more knowledge about Italy. That's why I got those books. I'm not going to be very painstaking going through them. I'm just going to go through them and get what I can get. Maybe it'll jog some other interests. I don't know. Then I got a book about New York City, the New York that nobody knows. It's about some people walking through New York City, and supposed to be about parts of the city that are lesser known. I just got that because, hey, I watch a lot of movies and TV shows, and New York City is a major culturally important city in the U.S. So I figured, might as well know some more stuff about it. Maybe that will, I don't know, enhance my viewing pleasure of the next show or movie I watch that takes place in New York City. I don't know, but or if I ever visit, then I'll have different thoughts when I'm there. I got a book about the 60s. It's just to help understand boomers a little bit better, my parents' generation. I got a book called Humor of a Country Lawyer. That's just I just like the idea of I'm sure country lawyers have some interesting stories to tell. So that's what I'm hoping to get out of that book. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Those are just a few of the books that I picked up and my thought process behind it. It seemed interesting, and you have to remember that when you're going through loads of books, like just tell yourself, remind yourself why you picked up the book in the first place. It looked interesting to me. There's something in my personal life going on right now that brings out an interest in that particular subject or topic. Don't force yourself to read through stuff just because you feel like you have to. I tried doing that with a lot of classic literature and classic books, and it was a real struggle. It felt like work. Work reading felt like work, and I started to really dislike reading. Also, another pitfall: don't fall into the trap of trying to get a high number of books read. Don't go for like I'm going to read 100 books this year. Don't try to go for I'm going to try to read all of this author or all of this genre, or I'm going to download top 100 books you should read and just go through all that list. I would recommend against that. Don't force read. Reading shouldn't be forced. Really, it's forced in college, but it's you're only doing it for a test. You're not. How much are you really getting out of that? I mean, I did all the readings in college for my history classes, and I enjoyed the readings because I enjoyed learning. It wasn't so that I could do good on the test. So you have to approach reading from I enjoy reading, I enjoy learning things. I'm curious, I'm interested, I want to know stuff, and I just like good writing. I like skillful usage of the word, the written word. So that's something that I would highly recommend thinking about as you're approaching reading. Don't just force it down. Don't force anything. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. You're not going to benefit from that. Don't be like I'm going to read 200 self-help books, and by the time I'm done, I'm going to be this genius who's destined for massive success and wealth. That's not going to happen to you. You're not going to be Tony Robbins. Okay, it's not going to happen. I'm just telling you now, not going to happen. Because you would already be doing stuff to help yourself. You wouldn't need books at that point. It doesn't take much really to help yourself. That's the secret with self-help is it doesn't take a lot. Like, it doesn't take a whole book worth of things to do anything. You just have to do a couple things consistently and you're going to be doing better. So now I'm kind of reaching the end of my track of thinking without having any notes to refer to continue on and give you more tips. Again, the speed reading. If you find yourself speed reading a book faster than you can comprehend it, put the book down. You're done with that book. You do not have to finish the book. That's another thing about loading books. Going through as many books as you can go through. You are free to do whatever you want with that book. If you want to read the book starting from the middle, you can do that. No one is going to either stop you or care. All right? No one. And if you want to start from the end and work your way to the beginning, go ahead and do that. You can treat any book you own however you want to treat it. You can tear out passages you hate. You can highlight stuff that you love. I don't care what you do. You shouldn't care what you do with the book. That book is yours to abuse and misuse and use however way you want. Okay, stop respecting the book. Stop respecting the author. I'm not saying that you should go out of your way to do something bad to a book. I mean, that just seems silly. But like, if you hate a book, throw it out. Throw it in the garbage. Don't allow somebody else to pick up that book and waste their time. Okay? Um, you are the master of that book. That book is just dead wood and words printed on pages. And you owe it to no one to love that book. If you hate the book, you hate the book. Okay, I'd only liked, I think, one novel that Mark Twain wrote. Now maybe two. Um, yeah, I would say two. All the rest of his books that I read, I never want to see again. I have no interest. I didn't find them funny. I didn't find them very good. I just liked a couple of his books. Big deal. It's That's going to be the case. You're going to have to get rid of books in your life. You don't hoard books either. You go through books. Only keep the creme de la creme. Get rid of books that you're done with, and nobody else is going to read it, and you have no interest in rereading it. Get rid of them. So, although I am saying also contradicting myself, you can do whatever you want. If you want to hoard books, hoard books. But I've done that, and I found that it just gave me a sort of anxiety when it came to books. It didn't actually help me get more reading done. It just, by the time I got around to certain books, when you hoard books, by the time you get to books that you bought a long time ago, that you had interest in a long time ago, I'm talking like 10 years ago, you'll get to the point where you own books and a decade or more has passed and you haven't touched that book because you keep being interested in other books. You keep going to other things. And so by the time you get to these books, the feeling has passed and you're reading the book and your interest is waned and there's no use. What you thought you wanted from that book is no longer relevant to your life. I'll give you an example. I had at one point bought a ton of Civil War, American US history Civil War books. I got a lot of Civil War books. This is back when I thought I was going to be a history teacher. So I thought I need all these books because I need to know a lot about the Civil War in order to teach the Civil War. And it makes sense, right? That's logical. That's rational. That makes sense. But 10 years later, I wasn't a teacher, and I wasn't going to become a teacher. And I'm looking at these books and I'm thinking, well, I should read them. Moral of the story: I didn't have to read them. I mean, some of them were good, but a lot of them were I can't even remember anything from them. A lot of Bruce Caton books, like, or Bruce Catton. I don't know how you say his last name, but not interesting. Not interesting. And I ultimately just kept one of those books. I even read the trilogy book by shoot, I can't, Shelby Foote. Shelby Foote wrote like this trilogy of Civil War history. And I actually found that by that time I had read so many Civil War books, things were starting to blend together and nothing was interesting anymore. And I didn't feel like I was learning anything new. And I couldn't appreciate his trilogy. And I got rid of it. So that's going to happen. But you have to get through loads of books to get to the good stuff. There's not a lot of good stuff out there. Um, there's a lot of okay stuff, but there's very little. Like I said, 1 out of 10, 10 out of 100 books, 100 out of 1,000 books will actually be really good. I've read about 1,300 books. That means about 130 of them I would say were really good, and I would like to reread and were special, and I remember them well. Whereas all the many other books, there's just I don't even remember anything. I don't remember a thing from them. So not worth it. Stuff that I thought I should read, but probably could have speed read them a bit more or just stopped myself early on. You're not doing yourself a favor by forcing it to the end. Don't force yourself to read to the end if you're not enjoying it. If it's not something you absolutely must know, then you if you absolutely must know it and you're hating it, then that's when you incorporate reading and studying strategies, or you're looking for keywords. You're trying to find Cliff's notes. You're trying to find things that are going to speed the process, or you're just going to have to go through it and suffer through it and slog through it. That's a possibility. But for the most part, if you're out of school, if you're out of college, and you're just reading for your own pleasure, let it be for your own pleasure. Why read something that you're not enjoying, that you're not getting anything out of? You spent a couple dollars. Some of these books I'm looking at, I spent maybe like $1 on them. Why do I have to force myself to waste 10, 20, 30 hours of my life suffering through a book I paid $1 for? That's less than a McDouble that I eat in like 2 minutes. So don't force yourself to experience the displeasure of books. You want to have pleasure when you're reading. You want to get to the good stuff. And you're going to get to far less good books if you waste your time on bad books. Okay? And not every good book to somebody else is going to be a good book to you. You have your own personal tastes. Don't force yourself to read something that is supposed to be good for you, but you just can't stand it. Or maybe you're not ready for it. Maybe you haven't had enough life experience for it to be relevant to you. Maybe there is some prerequisite knowledge that you need to know before you get into a book. And then maybe some books truly require multiple reads in order to get anything out of them. Okay, there could be like Ulysses or something like that. There could be books that require more work to get more out of them, and you are not ready for that. You might not be ready for that. Wait until you're ready for that. Wait until you've approached and reached the point where you want to really dig into something. Okay, until then, just read what you want to read, and then as you're reading it, if it's not any good, stop reading it. Okay, and it sounds simple, but it's very hard to do. It's very easy to feel this completionist mindset when it comes to books. Like I'll have a book, just the mere fact that it has a front cover and a back cover is enough subtle subconscious influence that I have to go through this whole thing from beginning to end. It's quite difficult to override that. So you almost need to pick up, if you struggle with that, pick up some garbage books, pick up a few books that you know you're not going to like, and like biographies of politicians or something, and just get yourself to practice stopping your reading. Practice being done with the book before the book is over. Okay, that's something that you can try, or use those books to practice your speed reading. That's another thing you can do with bad books. You just use it to practice the speed reading technique that you've decided upon. And then when it comes to really good books, I should note that I don't speed read really good books. They're so good that I would be shooting myself in the foot speed reading them. I always end up reading the best books that I find slowly, because they're really good. Why rush it? Why fast forward through Breaking Bad or something? Just soak it in. Maybe rewatch it, reread it. It's your book. You do what you want with it, unless it's a library book, in which case, don't do what you want to do with it. Treat it with respect. In that case, it's not your property. So, I think that's really all I wanted to say. If you want to read books, if you're going to read books, learn to speed read. Get through loads of books. Get through as many books as you possibly can, and even if you have to plan to read through 100 books this month, okay, or in the next 30 days. Don't give yourself a year time frame, and don't read books just to stack up a list of I've read 300 books. Don't do that. I got stuck in that pattern for a while, and it spoiled the pleasure I could get out of books. Because then, even when I was reading something good, I felt like I needed to get it done so I could get to the next book. So you shoot yourself in the foot if you do that. Read a ton of books. Read loads of books. Speed read them. If you do find a good book, set it aside. You'll get to it. Either you just stop your process and you read that book and you read it slowly, or you set it aside. I have several books set aside right now that I've even had some books set aside for over a year, because I don't want to force myself to finish a long and good book. You don't have to finish a good book just in one sitting or in a few days or consecutively. Like, you can take breaks from books that are good. That's also an option. You don't have to force yourself through good books either, even though they're good, because you want to savor and relish the experience of the good book, because they're rare. It's hard to find good books, and sometimes good books can still get a bit repetitive and stale, because they're so stimulating and they're so beneficial and valuable to your experience. So I do have a few of them on hold that I will get around to eventually and should read bits and pieces at a time. But for the most part, you just go through as many books as you can, searching for those good and great books that you're going to love. It's harder to do if you find a great book and it's a library book, in which case you probably should just read through it instead of needing to buy it later or do something else, make some other plan. But for the most part, if it's a book you own, don't take forever to get back to it though. Like, give it 6 months. Plan a period of time in which you will take a break from it and then go back to it. Just so you don't end up taking a break from it and then you never go back to it. That certainly can happen, and is a process that is difficult to avoid the more books that you get into, because next thing you know, you can very quickly develop a backlog of hundreds of books. I think I have a backlog of wish listed books on Amazon that's well over 1,000, and I know for a fact most of them, 95% of them, I will never read, or never need to read, I should say, because they're history related. And that was for when I was going to be a history teacher, which is not the case. So now I would just be reading them for pleasure. And I don't really want to be a history buff just for the sake of being a history buff. At this point, my reading is really just for wherever I'm at in life and to just find good books. That's the whole point of my reading right now, is to find good books. And so this is not a short video. This is actually a long video, especially for YouTube, especially for looking at a guy staring at the screen and just him saying stuff to you. So that's a long time to just suffer through that. Hopefully this has been helpful to a person out there, preferably a human being instead of some other conscious entity. And I'm going to have to leave it at that. I think I don't want to keep going on, and then my points become more and more stupid the longer I speak. So I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for watching. If you did get to this far, if you did hear me out, I appreciate that. Appreciate you, and maybe I'll make more of these videos. Thanks. Have a good one.